And we are live. Welcome back to the New Earth Project live stream. Tonight, we're going to be continuing our Awakening Indicators series. And tonight, we're talking about Deja Vu and Deja Revais. And we just had Studio Rome come in and join
Welcome,
the
Ram.
call.
Welcome.
Welcome, Studio Rome. And yeah, like I was saying, tonight we're talking about Deja Vu and Deja Revais. And if you haven't already, go check out our communities down in the description down below and follow us on our other social media pages to keep updated everything that's going on with the project and check out some cool content. So let's get right into it. So we'll start with Deja Vu, since that's kind of what everybody's familiar with. Everybody's experienced Deja Vu before. And the meaning of Deja Vu. It's French. So what it means translated to English is already seen. And Deja Revais is very similar. It's already dreamt. And this is all and Deja Revais is completely synonymous with precognitive dreams, if you have heard of that. So that's like you have a dream and it becomes reality. So we'll start with Deja Vu. So my interpretation, this is so after doing a bit of research, like a little bit of research on Deja Vu, and just going based off personal experience, I've kind of come to like not a final conclusion, but it's leading me to believe that it's a phenomenon that that brings awareness to us that we are connected to a parallel, like a multiverse with a parallel universe with entirely infinite possibilities, where there's there's different possibilities for everything that happens within your life. Everything there's yeah. And then so what so it's very interesting because these deja vu experiences, they could also bring up certain emotions too, and they can definitely they also carry certain messages as well. And so what I like to do whenever whatever I'm going to start doing after reading a little bit about it and like how it's connecting us with with our emotions, is whenever we're experiencing that deja vu moment, it can bring up a certain emotion because it's the translation is already seen. So it can be an indicator to feel a certain emotion and to process a certain emotion that's coming to the surface. So would anybody like to bounce off on that?
Yeah, I can bounce off that.
Yeah.
For me, whenever I get deja vu, it's like exactly what you said. It's like that like weird moment where you're like you just sit there and you just like think to yourself and you're just like am I like I feel like I've already experienced this. Like this is like very very weird how I'm able to just now be experiencing it for the first time, but it's felt like I've done this before. And for me, I think that's because whenever people talk about time, they usually talk about it as like linear, as in like their like as like a timeline. They usually talk about it as linear essentially. So, but time is like it's just the now. It's like all apparently so all time is like existing now. So like we are just in this present moment in 2022, February 23rd. I believe that's the date. So for me, like next week has already happened. My basically my whole life has already happened. I'm just living in the now, which is February 23rd, 2022. So essentially, whenever I get deja vu, it's because it's feeling like I've already experienced it. It's because in a way I've already have experienced it essentially. And that's why I get these like hoorah moments where I just sit there and I really think to myself like why how do I feel like I've already experienced this? And like you said, like it may bring up emotions and it's like a very it's like a mind trick. It feels um very like mysterious in a way. Like you it really like it brings the curiosity like out of me as to how like I am feeling as if I've already felt that. So would Rome or Stephanie, would you guys like to add on to that?
Okay, sure. Well, as I've expressed in the past on this podcast, I don't really have much. I don't remember many of my dreams. I know I have them, but I don't really remember them. So, but for me, there are been times where I've like just thought of something, or I just had that experience, but not in like a real life, and I think that's where that comes from. I think maybe it's from my dream state, and then something happens later in my day. But deja vu for me happens, and it happens pretty often. Well, I would say often, on a regular basis. I mean, I have pretty clear intuitive deja vu where it will be, you know, goose pimples, hairs raising up, that kind of stuff, or just like I know I've been here. I've done this, and you're gonna say that, or I knew you were gonna say that kind of thing. I get that quite often, and I don't know. I understand the multiverse, and I understand quantum physics of all that. I think it's a little more mystical sometimes. Sometimes I feel my deja vus are experiences I've had in past lives, but I'm just experiencing it again in this life, or had a conversation, or an emotion, or a recall. I I don't know. It's hard to put my exact on it, but there seems to be a familiarity with what I'm doing now and something I've done before. Not like I'm going to do it again before, but like I have done it way before that. So it's interesting when it does happen, especially when you're around other people. When I started to happen to me in a regular basis, people just got like, okay, whatever, it's like, here he goes again. But it's always fun, and I find it could be very opening to you if long as you're receptive to it. And that's kind of my take of it.
Yeah, as long as you're receptive to it. I remember like the whenever I was first becoming aware of like all these metaphysical aspects of our reality, and I was just getting deja vu. Like it felt like every single day, like all the time, like 24/7. It just felt like, oh, like it was so weird. It definitely picks up a lot at the beginning of awakening, and it's definitely completely normal thing to experience. Stephanie.
Hi. I didn't realize my glasses were glaring so hard on the screen, so I took them off. But I can't really attest too much to Deja Revais as well. Like similarly to Rome, I don't really remember my dreams like that. If I remember my dream, it's a really weird occurrence. I actually have had a couple though. The ones that I remember are usually like premonition type, like kind of deja vu, I guess, but it's usually
Yeah,
metaphorical.
it would be. It's deja vu is also it's synonymous with precognitive dreams.
Yeah, mine are usually more metaphorical though. Like it's not
Okay, gotcha.
like verbatim what's happening. It's just like a similar it kind of strikes up that deja vu feeling, but it's not exactly like the precognition of the dream, if that makes sense. But deja vu, when I started, understanding all of these metaphysical concepts and everything, it was literally smacking me in the face left and right. And I've had a couple different experiences, and I've also done some research into the elusive government documents there about deja vu and what that kind of is about. So they had a couple different explanations from what I've read. Like, gimme, from what I've read. So one of them was essentially future memories. So the same way that we remember things from the past, because all time is, not linear like we perceive it, as Jake had mentioned, we literally can have memories from the future pop in. So I've had one instance where that happened. And it was like I was packing to go on a trip to, I don't know, I think it was Miami at the time. And then for whatever reason, when I was walking down the stairs with my suitcase, I had like a weird deja vu moment. And I was like, I'm going to visit my foreign European boyfriend. Like it was like a weird, I was like, I don't have a foreign European boyfriend. Like it didn't make sense. And then 2 years later, I literally was dating this guy from Europe. And like, I was doing the same thing. I brought my suitcase down and I was like, oh shit, this is so weird. And I got like that spooky feeling because it was like a future memory. And it was just like a weird link between the two. And then I've also had deja vus where I can't really place why I'm feeling the deja vu. So I think it could be like a potential timeline overlap or a past life overlap or something. But yeah, future memories was one explanation. Another was past life memories too that I had read about. So yeah.
Stephanie, I can completely resonate with that. So whenever I first started awakening, what happened to me, I feel like literally like the first awakening indicator I had was like a deja vu moment. And I was like, so what happened to me? It was in my dream. And so eventually it was the next day's event. That's what I call it, but it could be a premonition of the future or whatever. So like it was me like on my back deck or whatever, talking to my friends, and we were just outside just chatting, and then we were wearing the same clothes, saying the same things. And so like the next day comes around, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this was my dream last night. And I was freaking out. I was like, no, like you were saying that in my dream last night. And they're like, shut up. No, I wasn't. You're weird, blah, blah, blah. You know, like you're losing it, you know, you're just an idiot or whatever. They're just name calling me. So I was like, no, like I'm being dead serious. Like you were wearing that shirt, you were saying exactly what you're saying, I was saying exactly what I was saying, and you were calling me weird. And it's just like this big mind blower, and it completely just like my mind was completely blown. And from that instant, I think I realized like time really is not linear. It's all happening in the now. Because how else could I have had these premonitions of my future events to come? Because you know, like there's no way I should be able to do that. But if it's all happening in now, it makes sense, at least for me.
Definitely resonates. And it resonated also earlier when you were like, my entire life has already, you know, been lived. I'm just experiencing it in the chronological order.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
Exactly. And that's why like with the New Earth project, I just know it's going to be successful because I've already lived it. So like I already know it's going to be successful. And that's why I don't get stressed or worried if things aren't going the right way or whatnot. I just know it's already going to happen because I've lived it and felt it. So yeah. So if any of you guys want to add on to that, go for it.
Did that experience that you had on the back porch, did it start sending you down the rabbit hole? And
that was my
I gotta learn more about this, and then the rabbit hole.
And then that's whenever I think I started texting Mikos, and then I think we started talking about like conspiracies on Snapchat. Mikos like made that Snapchat group chat with us, and we started talking about conspiracies. And then I put like the brain emoji next to Sonny because he was dropping all these like facts. He was like, yeah, like your soul, that's why I call blacking out, because your soul leaves your body or whatever. I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And I was like, from that day on, my life was just completely changed forever.
That's funny. But yeah, going off, we've also talked about this in recent live shows as well, when we were talking about dreams and such, like our dream discussion. But going down the more of the precognitive dream rabbit hole, also having those precognitive dreams where usually whenever you remember a dream like that, it's and especially if you don't remember your dreams too often, it's definitely something to pay attention to and to write down if you do have recollection from that dream, and kind of like pick apart that dream a little bit and see if there's some type of message in there, and maybe go to like a dream interpreter as well. It would kind of help pick apart that, see if there really is a message in there. Timoy, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on deja vu and deja revais, or precognitive dreams.
You're muted, Timoy. Actually, I don't know if you are or not. I just can't hear you.
Yeah, the mic's not working.
All right, how about now?
There you go. Perfect.
All right, cool. All right. Whew. All right. Yeah, this is a thick one for me. I have deja vu, like it feels like constantly, where like even just being in this call, I felt like I was already here. And when I think about like how does this happen, um, I remember about this experiment that they did where they actually proved with science that the heart can transcend time. So the experiment that they did was that they observed two basic emotions being like a positive response and a negative response. And the people in the experiment would push a button, and within 30 seconds, an image would be shown, like a very clearly distinct image. Like this is a positive image or this is a negative image. And they were able to, like the average person was emitting responses to the type of image that was shown up to like 6 to 8 seconds before it was actually shown in reality. So if they were able to do this to prove with science that our magnetic resonance with our heart can transcend time, then I wonder, like, with a little bit of focus and attention on that, then what else could be done? Like, can we go back in time? How far forward in time can we go? And then I think about like the whole fourth dimension as a whole and how it feels like this is like a flow of time for us, where sort of like on like a piece of paper in like a two-dimensional plane, if there's a creature or a being in this plane, they wouldn't have any experience of anything happening outside of that dimension. But if I like stick my finger through it or something, they would see just the cross section where it just intersects that dimension. So they're only really able to move linearly, like across this plane. So if you were technically as three-dimensional beings, we could like do things like fold their space, and they would really have no idea that they're actually going in a circle. So I feel like a similar thing could be said with time in our experience with the third dimension, where since we're bound to this plane, the outside dimension is really chaotic. There's a whole dimension of space outside, and as three-dimensional mortal beings, our human physical senses are only really equipped to experience that like phenomenon in a linear sense. But if the heart is able to transcend time, then I think there's senses that we've yet to tap into. And I feel like deja vu is like glimpses at those abilities. And if anybody really can have deja vu, then anybody can tap into that.
So you think feeling into the heart space more and acting more into the heart space, you'll be more likely to experience more sequences of deja vu.
Yeah, most likely. They say that there's a heart wall that can get developed from trapped emotions. So if you experience trauma in your life, anything really, you can develop these emotional like walls that sort of prevent the heart from getting hurt again. Like naturally, it's sort of for its own sense of safety, but as we know, that isn't like that distorts us from the truth. So if we're able to break those heart walls down and I guess confront the trauma, there's ways to sort of like dissolve it. I hear you could just do it with intention. I actually wrote an article about this, about releasing trapped emotions. And yeah, I find after I have to like kind of keep doing it. It's a regular practice and keep myself clean and fresh. Otherwise, stuff could get pent up and I might not even notice.
Definitely drop that link to that article in the group if you haven't already. I'm definitely interested in reading that. And I was going to say also petition right now to have Tamoy lead a discussion on dimensions because I'm interested.
Oh,
I'm with it.
Oh yeah, quantum, dude. The quantum physics. I'm scared to take a class here because like I don't want to be graded on it because it's so confusing and like it's all like it's just oh my gosh, like it's just so hard to like fathom and like put into words like and describe physically. But Tamoy, I think you did a pretty good job explaining with the piece of paper there.
yeah. I think if you try to understand it from this physical perspective, you're only ever going to get cross sections, and that's never the full thing. So we have to experience it from senses that can like go beyond this dimension.
Really. Yeah, exactly. Because if we can move past space and time, there's got to be other realities and dimensions that we're able to tap into, therefore resulting in what you're talking about essentially. So yeah, that's a pretty good perspective, I think. Really good perspective.
Just as like a little note on that, I was reading this book where it was talking about the study of liminal creatures, and that used to be like an actual scientific discipline in like the 1700s, where they would study beings outside of our space-time dimension, and they like exist overlapping our dimension, like they use the like not somewhere else, it's literally on top of ours, but like in a different plane of existence, so we can't see them regularly, but there are certain places where the veil, so to speak, is like thinner.
Do you happen to know how they recognized those beings?
I'm pretty sure they literally saw them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'm working on that. I want to literally see them.
So did they use some type of like what else did you say besides seeing them? What was you said didn't you say they used some type of technology to see them, or
No, like this was back in the 1700s. Like there were just certain areas of, nature, for example, like in wooded areas that literally there are letters. Like in this book, I have it, has quotations from, letters from like, I don't know, the people that had like, I don't know who exactly, but people had letters back and forth to each other. And it was, I don't want to like speak out of it, so I don't want to like misquote who it was, but it was somebody. They were like, I'm so sorry, I was trying to make it over to your place, and then I tried to take a shortcut through the woods because I thought it would be quicker, and then like this person didn't even realize they were outside of space and time. They literally somehow went into like this little portal area, and that like they were describing seeing like these creatures. They were like very mesmerizing. They went over and they were like, you want to stay? And he was like, no, I really gotta go. So he kept going, but like by the time he left the woods, it was literally nighttime, but he left in the morning, and he was like, I don't know what happened. And he was like, next time I won't take a shortcut through the woods. So there's all these like historical letters kind of alluding to these liminal creatures. And back in the 1700s, there were literal studies about these liminal creatures, like fairies and different beings like that.
Interesting. What's this book called, Stephanie?
Let me actually grab it for you right now. It's called, it has something to do with fairies. Give me 1 second.
All right, I got it. Yep, you got it. You got it.
so what my thoughts are, what I'm wondering is, so if those things are all those are probably most likely natural and have been, those ley lines have been to points on the earth for a long time. I'm wondering if you can, no, you definitely can create those little portals. Like you can also just create them. It'd be cool. Like
I wonder if it was like a portal to Hollow Earth or something along those lines. If there's like different dimensional beings kind of like with it wherever he went to. Like I mean, that's just a guess. I mean, I don't know. It could have literally probably been anything though, too. It's called Fairies.
So it's called Finding Fairies, Discovering Sprites, Pixies, Redcaps, and Other Creatures in an Urban Environment by Alexandra Rowland. And it talks about like, I don't know, at first I kind of thought it was going to be like a very like fair, like fantasy type of book and everything. It's literally not. Like they come in historical context about like different people seeing different things, and there were reportedly different portals, and like the last time that people were able to like report something there. I'm trying to just find exactly who the person was with the quotation that I was reading, because I didn't want to like make it.
No, you're good. Yeah, take your time.
Like feel free to continue. They were talking about different portals, I guess, and it was talking about maybe I'll just mention this one later, but you guys can go if you want.
Nice cut off. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't say this.
It's funny. Do you guys want to get into the Deja Vu? I think that's how you pronounce it.
Precognitive, yeah, Deja Revais.
Deja Revais. I personally
Precognitive dreams.
Yeah, I'm personally honestly just hearing about this. So if you guys want to start, maybe I've experienced some of this as well. Oh, it's precognitive dreams.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're the same thing.
I can talk about this.
Would like lucid dreaming be a part of that?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. Yeah, definitely.
I remember when I
Well, it would be that if you experience that dream later in the day or later in your life. That's the idea. You have a dream, and then after
Oh,
you're awake, you experience what you dreamt.
so
That's
Deja
a
Revais.
precog dream. So deja vu is you have an experience. You're like, wow, I did this before. Right?
Oh,
Or right? Deja revais is last night I had a dream that I was meeting up on a podcast and someone had a brown shirt, someone got a new haircut, someone was looking for a book. That was my dream.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about there.
oh, okay, yeah.
So
Uh,
lucid being that you vividly see it or you can remember it in detail. Well, okay, but did it happen to you? I mean, was it like a significant part of it, or you remember something happened, but everyone was wearing different clothes, you were in a different area, but that was in my dream last night.
uh, can I bring up my experience with this to see if it falls into that? Because
Yeah.
sort of like
go for it.
outside of. I mean, I don't know. All right, so when I was spending a lot of time riding a scooter, uh, every day after work, I would work at a coffee shop, and it was in this train station, and they had lights and a pavilion, so it was pretty much always perfect riding conditions. So I would just practice pretty much every day, and there were times where because I worked a night shift, I would like ride until I'm exhausted and just go right to sleep. And a lot of the time I would be just trying to learn new maneuvers, new tricks, and I would go into my dream space and be if sometimes I would recognize that I'm lucid and decide I'm going to learn this trick in my dream space. And I go through all the motions just as I would in reality, but then like try to remember the feeling of actually accomplishing that. And I would wake up and do it just as I felt in the dream. So it's as if I had used the dream space to learn new things and then apply it in waking life.
Apparently, like the person who created the periodic table, he did it like while he was dreaming. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of stories of like I've heard a lot of stories about like your dreams are extremely powerful. So if you're able to become like lucid, like in your dream, there's so many like different possibilities because it's whatever dimension. Like you can literally if you're lucid and you can think of something, like this dude was thinking about I don't know how to like the periodic table and how to like align the elements in subcategories and all these crazy different things. And the fact that he did that in a dream, it just goes to show you that like your dreams are extremely powerful because I didn't know what that term was. So deja revais. So I guess that mainly so deja revais is mainly like what I would experience. So whenever I was talking about the story on my back deck or whatever with my friends, that was like my first indicator. And like from that moment, it continuously kept happening like every single day. And I was literally like thought I was going crazy, because we didn't have the New Earth Project to tell us how to guide our spiritual awakening or whatever. I had to kind of gravitate and find that knowledge on my own, essentially. And through the help of Sonny and some other friends, I kind of came to discover that. And so I would have these crazy dreams, like of whatever, like just weird stuff. And then like the next day it would happen. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is weird. Like one time I had this crazy dream of this random person who I've never seen before. But if you're in a dream, the people that are in your dream are from your subconscious mind. So you've had to have seen them at some point in your life. So this is where like the whole timeline kind of comes in. So it's kind of crazy where it's like, I've never met this person, but if all time is happening now, I guess I have met this person. So it's kind of tricky. But so I have no idea who this person was or whatever. And then like, I drive like 6 hours to like, I drove to like the bottom of West Virginia to go on a riding trip or whatever. And it's called Half Hill McCoy. And boom, like out of nowhere, this random person who it wasn't a good dream by any means. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare for sure. They were over me with like, yeah, okay, I don't even want to get into it, but it was not a pleasant dream. So as soon as I see this person's face emerging from the shadows, I start like pooping my pants. Like I'm like, oh, I'm dying tonight. Like I'm gonna get killed tonight. Like there's no way. Like what is going on? And so I was sitting there shaking. I was like, oh my gosh. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do something about it. So then I like went up to him. I like I like I went up to the person and I was like, are you gonna kill me tonight? Huh? And it was like it was like the weirdest thing because she had no idea. She was sitting there like, what are you talking about? Like what? I was just like, yeah, I know you're gonna do it. I know you're gonna try to stab me with a knife. Like I was like, what? Like I to everyone else, I sounded insane because like that is insane. Like if they didn't experience what I experienced, they wouldn't have known. But once I told them the story after the fact, they're like, "What, dude? That's like crazy." Like they were like also pooping their pants as well. They were like, "Yeah, I would have been pooping my pants." I think I called her like a witch or whatever, and then that was like a trademark story. Jake and his witches, and it's so funny. I start dying every time I think about that story. But it's a really that's a deja review or revais or yeah. But has anyone, Rome, I think you've got some deja revais stories.
No, actually, I'm not. Like I really don't remember many of my dreams. I really don't. When I do, it's just fractions of it, and it flies right out of my head by the time I get the first pee out of the way in the morning. It's if
Yeah.
I've had probably in the last 2 years I can remember two dreams, and it was just very significant, but never had anything where I had a vision or a dream. I mean, I've never even done lucid dreaming before. I don't believe I have. So I have really no experience to base that on. When it comes to dreams, though, I do have a theory. You're in a dream state. You're very susceptible. Your patterns, your energies are different. Your frequencies, your conscious effort to do things are all down. All shields are down. So my theory is there's a good possibility at this time that other energies can infiltrate your mind in your sleep state. I don't know if that's true or if that's possible, but it seems like it's going to be logical. You can have your
Inception.
guides. Yeah, you can have some guides kind of like, nudge you or put a notion in your head or an idea in your head, and then you would wake up and you would have a dream that would be kind of, make you think about it or plant a seed kind of thing. I think that's possible. But for me personally, no, I haven't. The deja vu thing is big enough for me. When I get it, boy, it's just like a total resonation.
Yeah,
Uh,
and for me, it feels like it's like for the deja vu, it's only like whenever it's happening in that moment. It's like whenever you like like oh like that's what that was. Like I've
no,
I've
I've
really
had it.
felt.
I've had deja vu where I know something's gonna happen, and like,
Oh, so you've had some like precognition type of stuff.
yeah, kind of. Like, I've had a couple of times where I'll give you an example. We driving down to a person's house, a Facebook Market hookup to purchase something, and going to someone's place. Never been there before. Don't know where it's at. Get to the place and you go, "Oh, I've totally been here before," right? And
Yeah,
the guy
yeah.
comes out. He seems very familiar, and I turn to my wife and I say, I think this is going to be a little bit more fruitful than I expected it to. And sure enough, the guy is very generous, and he's, I'm there to buy like a big oil barrel to make a barbecue, and he's just offering the grill parts and the handles and all hinges and all kinds of things. And I was just like, wow, I think that's probably about as far off as I've gotten like a deja vu. Most of mine are like you're talking about, where it just like, oh, I've also had, I don't know if you guys ever experienced this. I've also had like a deja vu of smell. Have you ever experienced that? Where you you're like, There's a strange scent, or there's an odor, and I'm very, very familiar with. My grandmother used to wear a certain type of perfume, and that was all only kind of perfume that she wore. And years after she has passed away, and most certainly years after they stopped making that scent, I would have that smell. I'd be like, you know how they say people that have passed, and if they were a smoker, or if they were, had a certain odor to them, if they're in your area and they're sending that energy, you can have that scent. Like my wife's mother was a heavy smoker, and so was my father. But my wife's mother was a smoker all the way to the way when she died, and she swears sometimes that she can just smell her mother's, not just the cigarettes, but her mother's scent. And I think that's another kind of a deja vu.
Those are so interesting. Like I mentioned, I've had those too where like I can connect the deja vu later, but sometimes it's just like I've been here before and done this. And then even if I'm like in the same area, but I'm like, no, but it's different, you know? And I feel like that could be an overlap of like past life, parallel lives. And it's like so ironic because I also just went to this local shop around me like for books and like metaphysical books and stuff. So I went in there and I was talking to the woman, and she was talking to me about how in our dreams and stuff, if you don't typically remember them like ever really, she was like, it's very possible that you're living like parallel lives, like that you literally are having like other lives that you're co-currently living. And that's why some people just literally don't remember their dreams. And I was like, whoa, I need to look into this, because when I was a kid, I was adamant that when we dream, we're not just like sitting here dreaming. Like I'm 100% sure. And I'm like working to prove that. But like I knew as a kid that we were going somewhere and doing something, because like the whole REM sleep thing, yeah, for sure my body's in REM, but like where's my consciousness though? Let's talk about that. I also found the passage if anybody's interested in hearing it.
Sure. Yeah, let's run it.
So it was Abbot Edwin of Locksley, and he wrote the earliest account of fairies, and it seems to show evidence of being more than just drunken ramblings of a very bored creative mind. In 1127, he wrote a letter to his local duke. Your Grace, Your Grace, Tuesday last, I was on the road to visit you. As it was good weather, I was walking by foot and decided to cut through the wood. As my eager heart was too impatient to see you, I think I may have a band of merry poachers in your wood. My dear, wearing bright colors and playing such music as I have never heard, so that my feet itched to join them. Indeed, they called out to me and seemed very pleasant and friendly, but I only replied, I cannot stop, I am expected at the Duke's table. It was only the thought of my destination that hurried me onwards. Otherwise, I expect I would have tarried an hour or so. Yet when I emerged from the wood, I found myself practically at the abbey's doorstep just at twilight, though it had been early morning when I set out. I weep to think that you may have waited so long for me without hearing a word from me. Be at ease, beloved. I will come to you again Monday, and I shan't cut through the woods.
Yeah, definitely not gonna cut through the woods, man. Gonna end up there for 10 days.
You think maybe there might be some mushrooms in those woods?
So it doesn't sound like he ate any mushrooms from the woods, but I definitely think based on like the other like readings of this book, I can give a synopsis, like a book report if you guys want next week. But it was basically just kind of talking about these, you know, energies, these beings that exist on our plane, but like for example, it's like a different frequency that like maybe in the woods, for example, that acts as like a natural portal where the veil is like very thin and it like overlaps. So he got kind of cut, kind of almost how Timoy was using the example of the paper where like they might not even notice it's like kind of an overlap type of a thing. Right. Yeah. And it was like just concurrent. And then he, like he said, he just went right through the woods and he was like, oh, like, I don't know what happened. Sorry. So I think there's just some places that act as like natural portal type energies.
Yeah. Remind me to never cut through the woods when I'm going to someone's house.
I'm like, I literally go into the woods all the time, like looking for this, but that's just me.
Well, you gotta consider
Let me find this place.
1700s cutting to the woods to the Duke's place. was probably, the Dukes is probably thousands of acres, so it was probably a full day or 2 days to get through the woods to the, so a lot can happen in mysterious places.
I mean, I definitely. What are you trying to say, that like the Duke just
I'm
like
s-
didn't
no, what
understand
I'm saying
mathematics?
is no, what I'm saying in our mind, because of the population of the place, you think of a woods as just like a 5 minute walk through the woods. But I think the story more represents a long gander, a long day's hike through a long wooded, uninhabited area. And what I'm saying is, in those areas, mystic things are bound to happen.
I definitely agree with the mystic things are bound to happen. Just like by the context of it being in this book, like I don't think it would have just been like a really long trip that this guy was kind of like, I don't know. I just feel like, it could have been that overlap where it was, as you mentioned, a bigger mystical kind of energy where it's like denser, woodland, just uninhabited, where that could have that portal effect. But I don't know. It seemed like it would have been a quick stroll because he was like, it was early morning when I left. Like, I'm very confused that it's already dark. It didn't seem like it was a long trek.
There you go. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So do you think if these portals are there and they tear the forest down and build like a parking lot, like what would happen to those portals?
I don't know. See, I kind of think about that because I have done some research and stuff, and like I'm pretty sure portals can just pop up or like be anywhere. Like it doesn't have to just be um like where it is, I guess, per se. Like it could be that they're still there, like in the actual, rebuild of whatever this is. And that could be, one example as to why some places are, like haunted, not just spirits, but potentially, a portal to another thing. So that's just like my thought, but I don't know.
Yeah, that could make sense. And then that portal that was there, so say something built on top of it carries a frequency that's a little bit more lower on the scale and a little bit more dense. So would that enable for like different like frequencies and different energies to come from that portal that are more leaning towards the negative side of things?
Potentially. Yeah,
Interesting.
there are definitely some listed out here, interestingly enough, with certain locations that are notorious for having lower vibrations, and it does report having lower energies coming through these portals. So
Talk about like what where in location of the world this woods is at.
that one specifically, let me double check.
I'm very
I'd have to
interested.
look up Loxley, but I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, you don't have to deal with that if you don't. Yeah. That's very interesting story. Nonetheless.
If you think about like how narrow the visible light spectrum is and like all of the energies that exist, what are the odds of life existing outside of what we can perceive?
Like probably 100%, if not more.
Easily 100%. What do we define as life?
Sentient beings, I guess. I don't know, like energetically sentient beings. I don't know.
Anything that's aware of its
Anything that's conscious.
beingness. Yeah, anything that's consciously
Yeah.
aware.
Yeah, because that's facts. We can only see like 0.00 something, whatever percent of light. It's very small fractal of light, and so you have this tiny window that we can view on the spectrum of light. So that's literally everything that we make up in this world, and then you have your like gamma rays and your radio waves and all those type of different frequencies of higher status and higher frequency essentially. But since you can only see this, there like with our human eyes, you can see with your third eye, you can see way more when you start to become more in tune with those frequencies and whatnot. I think I've already mentioned this story once, but I like freaked out once. I thought I was going crazy. I got like a meditation. I was meditating out in like nature or whatever. Then after I saw this like red orb, and I was like, bro. I was like, what is? I was like, yo, like I started like I was freaking out. I was like, what is that? It's like I was like, it's an alien invasion or something. I'm always saying shit. But yeah, so I had no idea. But apparently, I talked to Hippie Hana. It's like apparently it's like it was my root chakra. I don't know. I that's what she told me, so I just believed her because it was red. I believe because red. Thing here.
I've
Red,
seen those orbs
red
after
is the
like
color of the root chakra, and that's kind of it was just like a red orb or whatever. So I was literally sitting there, and I remember texting Sunny too. I said something like I was like something about like, yo, are you meeting with the aliens or something? You're like, yeah, I'm up in the spaceships right now. So I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh my gosh, they're coming for me now. Like he had me I was like freaking out. I was like, they're coming for me. That was good.
I was hanging out with some alchemists one time and we were playing with some fire, like communicating with it.
Mhm.
And when we put it out, I had seen a red orb like evolve from it, where the flame was out, but the spirit that the fire, like the spirit that was living through the fire, it would continue to exist. And because I had tuned into it so authentically, I was able to continue to watch it just ease into a different dimension.
Wow, that's
I want to learn more about this. Maybe we'll have another session another time because I'm interested, but
fire talking. Fire.
So what was your guys' process whenever you were setting those attentions with the flame?
Communicating, listening to,
Telepathically
like
communicating?
talking to it, really, like using our heart space to telepathically communicate with the fire.
Cool.
I'm not really as into it as my friend who was hosting the ceremony was. It was more like a ritual, I guess. And yeah, that's definitely a pretty out there kind of topic. So
no, I'm interested. Like I'm interested in taking this class.
I wish I knew more, but
I mean, it's okay. Well, I'm interested in
Well,
just hearing your alchemist friends too. Like that's fun. I was actually just kind of like interested yesterday. I was like, maybe I should look into alchemy.
I just interviewed a alchemist today. She was a fascinating person, and I gotta tell you, Timoy, when you start a story with, I'm hanging around a fire with two alchemists, it's always got a good story to it.
yeah, it's good times, always good times.
I love that.
I feel like it branches from the idea of like what has consciousness, because there's really no way for us to assume if like static objects have sentience or not. Like maybe these patterns themselves, as they are, as we create them, can like represents a frequency that can hold life, just as the human vessel can hold life. Same with like gemstones too, and how these stones could vibrate very vibrantly. Just interesting stuff to think about.
I like that. It's so fascinating too, like especially when you're just like super drawn to something like that too. For me, it was crystals. Like even I remember as a kid, like I had like a little collection of crystals. Like when I would go visit my grandma in Arizona, that's what I would want as like the gift shop. I was like, I want the rocks for sure. And I didn't know anything about these crystals. I was like, the rocks. And like I found them like a couple of years ago and I still have them. And I was like, that's crazy that I literally like was calling that stuff as a kid, you know, like there definitely is the energies. I bet they definitely hold these, you know, energies that may even be in them. Who knows? But I think it's cool.
I remember being a little kid in parking lots and how they would have like basically river stones around in to like create space, and I would just run into them and like dig through the rocks. Like, nah, these aren't like, oh no, these ones though. These got some substance to them, and I would like collect these stones, and everyone would ask me like, "What are you doing?" And I'm collecting rocks. I don't know. It feels right.
Totally does.
Feels nice. We're a bunch of rock children.
Yeah, for sure. The amount of crystals I have in my house is like weird. I feel like to an outside person, they'd be like, okay.
Yeah. I got a lot of big samples.
Oh, that's
I like
cool. What
that.
kind of rock is that?
It's a black obsidian.
Nice.
Nice. Reflect that energy out of here. We like that.
My first experience with stones and rocks as a kid used to be in a roadside travels. We used to go on road trips as a family, and then on a roadside gas stations every now and then you come up against the like a Indian thing, and they would have arrowheads and little stones and polished stones, and that was my first thing. And like Stephanie, it was everyone else was looking for trinkets, and I'm all digging through the rocks.
It was very much that. Like, I love that. I'm glad it wasn't just me too, because I mean, in my family, like, I mean, even my friend group, like, nobody was like this. So I was like, nobody thinks what I think, that TikTok audio. But anyway, I at the store when I was talking to that woman about the parallel lives today, I thought it was really funny. Like, I have like a super affinity for rings. Like, I love rings, and like especially gemstone rings. I picked this one out today. And I was like obsessed with it. And I asked the woman, and I was like, well, I'm going to get this anyway, but like, do you know what stone this is? I can't really identify it. And she goes, it's amber. And I was like, that's my middle name. That's perfect. We're going to get that for sure.
Yeah. Amber, did you know it's not actually like a stone? It's fossilized tree sap.
Yeah, I was literally telling that to my mom. I was like, it's so fitting as well because I mean, yes, this is like, I mean, kind of a crystal-esque gem, but it's like fossilized. And I was like, I feel like I'm a very, very, very old soul. So I feel like it's very fitting.
Yeah.
You're muted. You're muted, good sir.
Ninjutsu.
Okay, my bad. But does anybody have any last thoughts or anything like that before we get into the meditation? We're getting close to the top of the hour here.
You're also muted, good sir.
I was just gonna say, March 3rd, Jake's interview on Come As You Are podcast comes out. Look forward to that.
Nice, March 3rd.
3-3.
Yeah, and also you can check out all of our other live shows that we've done in the past. This is our second to last live show. Our last one in the Awakening Indicator series is next Wednesday, same time. And if you want to check out the rest of our Awakening Indicator series, go over there. You can see it. I believe it's in the playlist categories. And if you go down to Awakening Indicators, the whole portfolio will be there. So there's a lot of juicy information in there. So definitely check that out. And then also make sure to follow us on our other social medias as well. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And also be sure to join our Telegram communities and such. And I'm sure that's where that link will be dropped for that the little article on the heart frequency. It'll be dropped there. So, and also you can join in that Telegram community. It's awesome. We're having great discussions every day, heart-centered discussions. It's a lot of fun. It's a good space, safe space to be. And let's get any other thoughts before we get right into this meditation. Sweet. You can start by letting out a big sigh. Maybe relax the shoulders, your feet, legs, arms, and especially the forehead. Make sure you relax that forehead. Take a nice big deep breath. Get your 3D glasses on. And with every breath you take, feel yourself getting more and more relaxed. Feel your body relaxing more and more. Forehead Coming loose, relaxing your legs and your arms and your fingers. Start bringing your awareness to this present moment. Feeling the air moving in and out of your lungs. Feel your heart beating in your chest. Now feel and imagine a rainbow ball of light spinning and levitating just above your head. And slowly making its way down through your crown into your third eye, healing and embedding your body with light codes, healing your DNA. Feel it moving down through your throat. Spinning and activating your chakras. Now allow it to move down into your heart. And allow it to remove any blockages that are surrounding your heart and transmuting it into an open heart center, connecting with your upper chakras. Allow yourself to feel the love emanating from this rainbow ball of light. Creating a nice warm feeling throughout your whole body. Now, as you feel this ball of light moving down into your solar plexus, into your sacral, connecting with your heart. Now, as it moves down into the root, feel yourself becoming more and more integrated with the earth, becoming more connected with it. Becoming one with the earth. Now, imagine your vision of what New Earth looks like, and the emotions that you feel when in this state of mind. The love that emanates of this frequency, the hope, the joy. And if it helps, try imagining yourself as a child again, playing, running around on the playground, experiencing pure bliss. And whenever you're ready, start coming back to this moment, wiggling the toes a little bit. And when you're ready, open your eyes. And thank you for coming to the live show. If you're still here watching till the end, thank you so much. And we will catch you next Wednesday for our final live show. Much love and peace.